One, on behalf of the entire staff of Beech Motor Speedway and the Cusack family, it's my pleasure to welcome you to Maine's oldest continually operating family-owned speedway. My name is Bruce Elder, your race commentator, and tonight it's the Daytona Triple Crown Series 3, sponsored by the GW Jewett & Sons Company, a yearly sponsor here at Beech Motor Speedway. GW Jewett & Sons is owned by Bob Jewett. Nice to have Bob and the crew on hand here. We'll be telling you more about our sponsor as the evening rolls on. We will be opening with qualifying heats. "15 laps on tap in this first qualifier for the limited sportsman. 12 cars to qualify. The rest will have to come back and try to do it in the consolation event. Assistant starter Junior Niles on the stand gives the drivers the all clear. Looking for a start at turn 4. Tapley and Quinn on the front line. Green is out. Phil Tapley. Don Tapley, rather, in the number 15. Cars are right under yellow. And we have a false start. Flagman will bring them down and try once again, looking for a good even start. Flagman asks the drivers to even it up and tighten it up just a little bit. We have a red Nissan Pulsar, license 55953Q. The lights are on. Once again, the cars are given the all clear, and we'll look for a start at turn 4. Assistant starter Junior Niles points to the 4-turn stripe. Green is out. Once again, Don Tapley squaring off with Dennis Quinn. Side-by-side battle for the lead as they race turn 2. Look down the backstretch. Slight advantage to Quinn from the outside. Tapley races back on the inside. Door handle to door handle for the next spot with Scott Johnson to the inside. John McMullen looks for racing room between cars. Can't quite do it as Quinn tries to work back down to the inside. McMullen stays there, works his way right up the middle. Now he looks to challenge the race leader on the outside. John McMullen in the number 100 on the move. Out of the 4-turn, looking down the front stretch, they're dead even at the start-finish line. Into the turn 1, slight advantage to the 100 of McMullen. Out of the 2-turn down the backstretch, the new leader is John McMullen in the 100. Scott Johnson looking to follow from the outside. We just get the word that Robbie Dorr is behind the wheel of the 100 tonight. Robbie Dorr, your race leader, filling in for John McMullen in the number 100. Then a side-by-side battle for the second spot. Scott Johnson to the outside of Don Tapley Jr. Johnson gets the car. Rocky Yago spins it around, along with Dennis Quinn. All the drivers do a nice job of avoiding those, except for out to the outside. The 69 of Richard Olin has collected up some sheet metal. Unable to fire the car in time, and that puts the field under yellow. Rocky Yago's car also sitting disabled up between turns 1 and 2. Assistant starter Junior Niles gives the drivers the all clear. We have 4 laps down in this 15-lap qualifier. Robbie Dorr behind the wheel of the number 100. Working from the pole, Scott Johnson in the 61. Green is out. Side by side, they race the front stretch to turn 1. Slight advantage to Robbie Dorr in the 100 as they look down the back stretch. Johnson continues to look to the outside of the number 100. Here comes Don Tapley to fill the third spot. Side by side battle. Stevie Howard to the inside. Dennis Quinn to the outside for the next spot. Remember, only 12 cars to qualify out of this race for the main event. The rest will have to try to do it in the consolation event. Last qualifier appears to be the 73 of Willie Boucher. That could change around. You keep your eyes on them. Only the top 12 will transfer to the main event. Stevie Howard on the move in the 03 as he looks to the outside of the number 15 now. Draws it even with Don Tapley, and they race side by side for third. Tapley gets the advantage out of turn 2 down the backstretch to hang on to the third position. Here comes Dennis Quinn to the inside. That will require Stevie Howard to stay in the outside lane. Halfway mark, 8 down and 7 to go in this qualifier. Top 2 cars putting a little distance on the rest of the field as Don Tapley and Stevie Howard race side by side for position number 3. Last qualifier right now appears to be the 68 of Chuck Haynes. Steve Carrier trying to work his way into a qualifying position as he works to the outside of the 88 of Mike Field. They race side by side, both sitting just outside of a qualifying position. Qualified cars back through the 68 of Chuck Haynes. So the last 5 cars right now are racing outside of a qualifying position. And you can be sure they don't want to miss running that main event. Just 2 laps to go next time by, indicates starter Junior Niles. Cars jockeying for position. The 88 of Mike Field works his way under the 68 of Chuck Haynes to grab that last qualifying position. It's 2 to go. Spin by Olin in the 69, changes that around as he collects up the 34 of Russ Johnson. It will be a caution to the checkered. Robbie Dorr, filling into the number 100, collects the first qualifying heat of the evening in the number 100, followed by Scott Johnson in the 61, Stevie Howard in the 03, the 80 of Darrell Ward, and the 01 of Alan Chapman. On the pole, driving the number 55 out of Westbrook, Maine, is Mark Bernier. To his outside, the number 13 is driven by Ed Gallant. Second row on the inside, the 63 is driven by Mike Roberts, and to his outside, the 15 is driven by Don Tapley Jr. Third row on the inside, the 79 of Phil Weber, and to his outside, the 06 of Dennis Quinn. Fourth on the inside comes the 61 of Scott Johnson. To his outside will be the 95 of Roger Williams. On the inside, driving the 100 today, is Robbie Dorr. Next on the inside comes the 65 of Rocky Yargo, and to his outside, the 80 of Darrell Ward. Assistant starter Junior Niles on the stand for qualifying heat number 1, looking for a start out of turn 4. Green is out. Mark Bernier jumps right from the pole into a quick lead, but he has Mike Roberts right at the back bumper. A side-by-side battle shaping up for third, but Don Tapley takes over third quickly out of the 2-turn down the backstretch. Here comes Phil Weber up the inside. Scott Johnson also on the move in the number 61. Robbie Dorr looking for racing room, but he's momentarily boxed in on the inside. Ed Gallant almost had to take the third groove, but manages to hold on to the middle groove as all the cars jockey for a qualifying position. Only 12 cars to qualify in this qualifying heat. The rest will have to do it in a consolation event. Last qualifier appears to be the 03 of Steve Howard. Mark Bernier doing a nice job, hanging on to the lead spot. Has Mike Roberts right at the back bumper. Roberts looks under the 55, couldn't quite find room that time, has to back out of it just a little bit. Mark Bernier continues to show the way. 19 now, the last qualified car. Remember, only 12 cars to qualify. Alan Burraby with some problems. Very competitive number 50 off the pace this afternoon. Continues to be Mark Bernier showing the way, then Mike Roberts, Don Tapley Jr. in third, Scott Johnson hanging on a fourth spot, and then comes Robbie Dorr. We have cars off the 2-turn, the 13 of Ed Gallant and the 78 of Earl Glidden Jr. They get underway and we stay under green. Mike Roberts now putting the pressure to the back bumper of the 55. Black flag goes out to one of the cars. '95 taking the car onto the pit road with a bumper that's unhooked. That was the reason for the black flag. Continues to be Mark Bernier. They'll be approaching the halfway mark next time by. Mark Bernier, your leader, out of Westbrook, Maine, in the number 55. He has a mirror full of Mike Roberts in the 63. They put a little distance on Don Tapley Jr. in the 15. Then comes Scott Johnson in the 61. And Robbie Dorr this afternoon driving the number 100 as the top 5 have put some distance on the rest of the pack. Looks like the number 80 of Darrell Ward may be the last qualifier right now. Mike Roberts looks to the outside of Mark Bernier now. They race the 4-turn look down the front stretch. Here comes Mike Roberts out and around the 55 as smoke comes from the right front of the 55 of Mark Bernier. Bernier experiencing some problems, perhaps overheating. Hard to tell yet, but definitely has had the back out of it. Tough break for the youngster out of Westbrook, Maine, as he led better than halfway. Something giving up in the front end, evidently, of the 55, as he takes it way wide. Possibly be the overflow, and he might be sliding in his own water. 69 in a hard crash in the one turn brings out the red flag immediately. Officials will get right to the car. We'll give you a report just as quick as we have one. Officials tell us that Richard Olin in the 69 is telling the official that he is okay. A relief to hear that, as Richard Olin hit the infield sandbanking hard, right back on the track on his roof, and he's telling the official he's okay, and I'm sure he's more concerned about the car. Drivers given the all clear as they glance across from the backstretch. Assistant starter Junior Niles looking to restart this first qualifying heat at turn 4. Mike Roberts and Don Tapley Jr. on the front line. Flagman asks him to pick it up just a little bit. Green is out. Mike Roberts jumps into a quick lead. Scott Johnson right at his back bumper. Don Tapley in the outside groove. Steve Carrier in the outside groove trying to make that work as he works to the outside of Chuck Haynes. Remember, only 12 cars to qualify. The rest will have to try to do it in a consolation event a little later on. Scott Johnson looks right to the back bumper of the 63. Couldn't quite find room. Has to back out of it just a little bit. It'll be 2 laps to go this time by. Last qualifier appears to be the 79 of Phil Weber. The 01 now of Chapman appears to be the 12th place car. White flag, 1 lap to go for Mike Roberts and the rest of the field. A lot of good running cars will not qualify, as this is the last lap and they'll have to try to do it in the consolation event. Checkered flag in the air for Mike Roberts as he collects the first qualifying heat of the day, followed by Scott Johnson. Then the 100 driven by Robbie Dorr, the 64 of Rick Verrill, and the 68 of Chuck Haynes. As Mike Roberts goes down to collect the colors in a picture, let's have a nice round of applause for the winner of heat number 1 this afternoon, Mike Roberts in the number 63. Flagman Eddie Walsh on the stand gives the all clear, points to turn 4. Asks the drivers to hold it even, pick it up just a little bit. Green is out. Gary Pulsifer with a slight advantage at the start-finish line. They're even into turn 1, looking to turn 2. Side by side they start down the backstretch. Pulsifer with a slight advantage as they race to turn 3. Jay Johnson right back to challenge on the inside. They're even out of turn 4. Once again, Pulsifer with a slight advantage as they come down the first lap. Looking down the backstretch even once again. Slight advantage to the 27 of Pulsifer. 2 veteran late model sportsman drivers. A rookie in the number 17 is Al Burset. Then comes Bobby Libby, also a veteran late model driver, as is Bobby Babb in the number 4, looking at the top 5. Jay Johnson takes the advantage down the backstretch into turn 3 as they work lap number 3 of this 10-lap qualifier. Jay Johnson works himself the full car length now ahead of the 27 of Pulsifer. Al Burset looks to fill up the inside row, trying to keep the 27 in the outside lane. Pulsifer gets the car turned in the turn 1 area, right out over the apron. See if he's able to refire the 27. If he does, we'll stay under green, and he is refired. They're approaching the halfway mark. 5 down and 5 to go. Tell us the 88 is driven this afternoon by Pete Rondo. Usual ride of Kurt Gary this afternoon. Pete Rondo behind the wheel of the number 88. Jay Johnson continues to show the way, followed by Al Bursett in the Eagle Racing number 17. Bobby Libby out of Standish, Maine in the Forest City Chevrolet Lumina number 34. Then comes Bobby Babb out of Windham, Maine, also in a Chevrolet Lumina. And Kenny Lund, veteran out of Sevago Lake, Maine, in the number 1, the Maine Linoleum number 1 of Hank Snowman. They'll see 2 laps to go as they cross the stripe this time. Bobby Libby looking to find a way around the number 17, brings it right to the back bumper. Babb is right at the back bumper. We're under the white flag, 1 lap to go. Bobby Libby looks to the outside of the 17 in this last lap. Here comes Babb up the inside. Bobby Babb on the move as he gets under the 34 of Libby, racing to the 3 turn. Out of the 4 turn, the checkered flag in the air for Jay Johnson as he collects the qualifying heat. Youngster with about 16 years of racing under his belt. From West Buxton, Maine, driving a Pontiac Grand Prix sponsored by Johnson's Garage and Sun Financial Group. As Jay Johnson brings it down to the start-finish line, let's have a nice round of applause for the winner of heat number 1 in the late model sportsman division, Jay Johnson. Flagman Eddie Walsh gives them the all clear. Look for a start at turn 4 is the signal. Looks like a false start as Walsh puts the yellow flag up in the air. Didn't like the looks of that start. Expects the drivers to be even wheel to wheel. Kevin DeBias up from the runner-up spot in the limited sportsman division last year. Has been a good solid contender in the modified ranks this year. Flagman Eddie Walsh reminds the drivers once again of the kind of start he's looking for, and they know anyway. And we'll look for a good even start at turn 4. DeBias wanting a little bit quicker pace now. Emerson comes up with him. Out of turn 4, green flag goes out. Slight advantage to Emerson as they race to the 1 turn. DeBias is right back to challenge on the inside, retakes the lead down the backstretch. They race to turn 3. The 21 of Lampron now fills the inside groove. Bringing him down for lap number 1, it is DeBias. The rookie in number 90 shows the way. Lampron right up the inside. Spike Matitol following suit as he moves under the 24 of Emerson, down the backstretch into the 3 turn through turn 4. Emerson is forced to stay in the outside groove. He's side by side with the F80 now. F80 gets under the car of Emerson. Outside groove not working yet for the youngster from Windham, as he's going to be right back to the shotgun position. Difficult to run the outside groove early on. And Jimmy Emerson was a product of that, being set in that outside groove and no way to get back down. Now it's Lampron making a challenge to the outside. Dave Lampron's going to try the outside groove as he works to the outside of the number 90 of DeBias. Already they'll be approaching the halfway mark. It'll be 5 down and 5 to go as they cross the stripe. Kevin DeBias hanging on to the lead. He has a lot of pressure now from Dave Lampron to the outside in the number 21 and Spike Matitol to the inside in the 89. Lampron up the outside trying to draw it even. Can't quite do it. That time he got up almost side by side. At the 2 turn, he is side by side. Down the backstretch there, wheel to wheel to the 3 turn. The 90 of Tobias, the 21 of Lamprin. Side by side out of the 4-turn. Tobias with the advantage at the stripe. It'll be just 2 laps to go when they cross the stripe next time by. The rookie Kevin Tobias doing a nice job holding off Dave Lamprin in the number 21. 8 down and 2 to go. Lamprin goes a little wide out of the 2-turn, and Spike Matitol finds his way right up the inside. White flag is out, 1 lap to go. Still Kevin Tobias showing the way. Now Spike Matitol in 2nd spot, Dave Lamprin in 3rd, Gary Drew up to 4th, and Jimmy Emerson is up to 5th. Checkered flag in the air for Kevin Tobias. Driving a 1986 Hoffman chassis. Tobias is out of Scarborough. Let's have a nice round of applause for the winner of heat number 1 in the modified ranks, Kevin Tobias. Car is sponsored by Silo Insurance, the Doctor's Restaurant, and Yankee Towing. He was the 1989 Most Improved Limited Sportsman driver and was runner-up in the point standings. An ever-improving modified driver is Kevin Tobias. Flagman Eddie Walsh gives them the all clear as they approach the 3-turn. Look for a start at turn 4 as the flagman points to turn 4. Ask the drivers to keep it even. Green is out. Russ Johnson and Mike Field side by side into the 1-turn, but it's Russ Johnson up the inside. Here comes the 107 of Doug Shores. Doug Shores, one of the few Fords in competition, 2 feature wins to his credit already in the 1990 season. Here comes Gordon Nelson up the inside in the 161. Doug Shores sets the Ford to the outside, but loses a little ground. Gordon Nelson looks to the inside, couldn't quite fill that spot. Russ Johnson, a rookie this year, hangs on to the lead. 15-lap qualifier, 12 cars to qualify for the main event. Doug Shores continues to work that outside groove, trying to see if he can work his way out and around. First Gordon Nelson, and then set his sights on Russ Johnson, having a hard time working that outside groove as he slips just a little bit. Cars racing 3 and 4 abreast in the 1-turn. The 49 of Ron Smith way up high, as is the 37 of Gelinas. They lose some ground. Top runners at the back end, the High Point men at the back end of this second heat. All of these High Point men wanting to grab a qualifying spot in the qualifying heat if they possibly can and avoid running the Consolation event. But it's going to be a hard move for them to get up into a qualifying position. Doug Shores continues to slip just a little bit in a challenge now from the inside. Beaver Norton in the 38 trying to take over the 4th spot from the Ford of Shores, and it looks like he's going to do it. Looks like the number 16 is the last qualifier. Top 5 have kind of shaken loose of the rest of the pack. Cars tangle in the 2-turn. The 54 of Fournette, the 78 of Dave Fecteau. And that also Causes the 89 and the 49 to lose a lot of ground. The 24 of Danny Bubar is off over the 4-turn, and that brings out the caution. Danny Palmer, a flat right rear tire on the 24 of Danny Bubar. And that causes the 93 and the 24 to both have to go on a pit road. And they'll be back on the tail end of this lineup. Flagman Eddie Waltz gives the drivers the all-clear sign as they work their pace lap down the backstretch in preparation to restart with 7 laps down of this 15-lap qualifier. 12 cars to qualify for the main event. Russ Johnson and Gordon Nelson on the front line. Green is out. Cars race even into the 1 turn. Russ Johnson to the inside, Gordon Nelson to the outside. Slight advantage to Nelson as they race the backstretch to the 3-turn. The 161 on the outside. Here comes Russ Johnson. Right back up the inside. Johnson, younger brother of Jay Johnson, winner of a heat in the late model division earlier today. Gary Clough challenges now to the inside, right at the back bumper of the number 34. And that will force Gordon Nelson to stay in the outside groove. The number 27 appears to be the last qualified car right now. That's Bubba Pelton. Russ Johnson doing a nice job in the number 34 has Gary Clough now at his back bumper. Doug Shores has moved up into 3rd. Side-by-side battle for 4th. Beaver Norton to the inside, Gordon Nelson to the outside. Robbie Dorr behind the wheel of the number 10 this afternoon. I'm sorry, Jim Burt, rather. Jim Burt driving the number 10. Car spins in the 3-turn. The 54 of Burnett, and he's collected up by the Z28 of Kevin Durgan. Looks like the number 2 of Brad Layton may be the last qualifier right now as they work lap number 12. Russ Johnson continues to hold the point with a lot of pressure from Gary Clough in the 0. They'll see 2 flags from Flagman Eddie Waltz, 2 laps to go. Three abreast in turn 2. The 14 of Chris Rule on the move. Does a nice job moving between cars. White flag in the air, 1 lap to go. Looks like the number 2 of Brad Layton is the last qualifier as he has come from the very last position to grab a qualifying spot. But he has Larry Gelinas working to his outside, trying to grab that last qualifier. Checkered flag is in the air as cars spin off the 3 and 4 turn. Russ Johnson grabbing heat number 2 for the limited sportsman, the high point heat. All the cars get going again except for Jeff Morgan's number 70. And those cars will, of course, have to be back in the Consolation event coming up just a little bit later on. Fine run by rookie Russ Johnson out of Hollis, Maine. Let's have a nice round of applause for the winner of the 2nd qualifying heat in the limited sportsman division. Russ Johnson is a rookie this year, driving an 81 Pontiac Grand Prix that is sponsored by the Johnson's Garage. Joe Bowser in the number 32 on the inside. Andy Lude in the number 56 to his outside. These are the high point late model sportsman drivers. Flagman Eddie Walsh points to turn 4, asks the drivers to hold it even. Green is out. Joe Bowser from the inside. Andy Lude still fighting back on the outside. Cusack trying to fill that 2nd spot, can't quite do it, as Andy Lude works back to the rear bumper of the number 32 of Bowser. Lude goes a little wide, but Cusack isn't quite able to capitalize on it. And Lude hangs on to that second spot just by a thread. Car seems to get out of shape just a little bit, wants to plow to the outside, and that opens up the inside. Once again, Lude gets it sideways as he crosses the stripe, manages to collect it up and hang on, but here comes Cusack up the inside. Perhaps a tire going down on the 56 as now he's slowing and taking it to the outside. Something amiss in the number 56 of Andy Lude as it looks like he's going to take it on pit road. The battle now is from third spot back. Barry Babb has a lot of pressure from Phil Pinkham. Then comes Mike Johnson in the 33. And the two gentlemen tied for the point lead. The 85 of Ricky Harrison and the 13 of Mike Mayetta, where every point counts. And believe me, they know it. Halfway, 5 down, 5 to go. Ricky Harrison in the last position that awards a point in the qualifying heat and certainly wants to hang on to it. Meanwhile, up front, Joe Bowser showing a lot of strength in the Lisa's Pizza Futura Stone sponsored number 32. Joe Bowser has collected 2 feature wins so far in the 1990 season. Glenn Cusack still looking for his first late model win. He has 1 win in the modified division. They'll see 2 laps to go as they cross the stripe. First 2 have put some distance on the third place competitor and the rest of the pack. Barry Babb in the 0 in third place. Side-by-side battle for fourth. Mike Johnson to the inside. Phil Pinkham to the outside. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go. Impressive run by Joe Bowser as he continues to show a lot of strength in his 1990 Chevy Lumina. Sees the checkered flag fly. And heat number 2 in the record books for the late models, and it's Joe Bowser's. 2 feature wins to his credit. Good solid season for the youngster out of Scarborough, Maine. Nice round of applause for the winner of the second qualifying heat in the late model sportsman division, Joe Bowser. Definitely a car to watch in the upcoming feature event. Rolling out onto the track surface, the second qualifier, the High Point Modifieds. For their qualifying heat, Blackman Eddie Walsh signals all clear to the drivers as they glance across to the flag stand. Know that they can look for a start at turn 4. Pete Rondo and Bobby Gahan bring the field down. Green is out. Rondo to the inside, Gahan to the outside. Side by side, they race the 1 and 2 turn down the backstretch. Slight advantage to the 5 of Rondo. Cars all bunched up in a column of 2s. All of these drivers working hard to try to find a way to make that outside groove work for their car. Gahan and David Pinkham working the outside groove. Gary Drew also now trying the car in the outside groove. Pete Rondo continues with a slim advantage over Gahan. Out of the 4 turn now, a full car length advantage to Rondo in the number 5. Cars stacked right up, bumper to bumper and wheel to wheel. Gahan fighting back on the outside. Once again, trying to see if that outside groove will stick. Rondo circles the track in the low 15-second bracket area. Gahan continues to challenge on the outside. They'll see the halfway mark, 5 down and 5 to go. Inside row with the advantage now as Oliver takes over the second spot. Working beneath the 50 of Gahan is Willie Elliott. Bobby Gahan with no place to go but run the outside. Tommy Oliver moves out into the outside groove now, looking to challenge the number 5, but then he tucks it right back inside. Cars very even as they run bumper to bumper and wheel to wheel. It'll be 2 to go next time by. Cars on the outside, fading just a little bit. Gahan gets back into it again, challenges Mayetta on the outside. Race leader Pete Rondo turning the track at 15 seconds flat. Just a little off the pace that he's been running at. Cars touch just a little bit in the 4-turn. Drivers do a nice job of handling that. A lot of pressure now for the race leader from the 29 of Tommy Oliver. Oliver right at the back bumper of the number 5 of Rondo. They'll see the checkered flag in the air as they negotiate the 4-turn look down the front stretch. Qualifying heat goes to Pete Rondo, 14.99 in that last lap. Yes, he does a nice job holding off the 29 of Oliver, the number 1 of Willie Elliott, the 16 of Mike Mayetta, and the 61 of David Pinkham. Let's have a nice round of applause for Pete Rondo, winner of the second qualifying heat in the modified division, driving an 88 Cavalier. Car is owned by Ken and Janet Matthews, sponsored by Portland Pump and Team Auto Body. Definitely a modified to keep your eye on in the feature event, as he has collected several feature events and several heat wins already this year. I believe this makes about 6 qualifying heat wins. Green is out. Paul Driscoll shows the way right from the point. He's followed by the 20 of Pat Pearson. 77 getting out of shape, as is the 52. Ron Breslin spins it. All the drivers do a nice job of avoiding the 52. Robert Bodwell with mechanical difficulty in the 56. All the drivers looking to collect all the points they can and work their way up out of this semi-feature. Another spin on the backstretch. Car into the backstretch wall. 2 cars spin halfway down the backstretch. And it looks like they're all going to get underway. The 57 of Rod Hughes. And we stay under green. Leader is the 45, Paul Driscoll. Then comes the 20 of Pat Pearson. The 09 is Frank Collins. The 109, Eric Lund. The 103, Eric Lund. The 41, Gene Theriault. Comfortable lead by Paul Driscoll in the 45. Now the 109 of Gary Sturdivant has taken over second spot. Spin by Libby in the 77. And that will bring out the caution as he sits broadside here in the middle of the front stretch. Finally gets the car back underway. But not until the caution flag flies. Looking for a start at turn 4. Green is out. The 45 of Paul Driscoll hangs onto the lead. Then comes Gary Sturdivant. Billy Thompson on the move in the number 6 as he works to the outside of the number 22. Billy Thompson all the way up now to challenge for that second spot as he works beneath the 109 of Gary Sturdivant. Couldn't quite find room. Looks to the outside, now dives back to the inside again as they race to the 1 turn. Side by side at the 2 turn, Thompson to the inside, Sturdivant to the outside, in second position in the hands of Billy Thompson in the number 6. Driscoll doing a nice job. Spin by Frank Collins in the two-turn, and he's collected up by Robert Bodwell. That will put the cars back under caution. They tell us that the number 6 is penalized for jumping the gun. Officials letting Billy Thompson know that he has been penalized 4 positions for jumping the start. Little over anxious. Once again, Paul Driscoll and Billy Thompson. Green is out. Cars get hooked together, and a tough break for Billy Thompson as bumper's hooked, and he has to take the car right to the outside. Second place, now a battle. Scott Chapman working to the outside of Gary Sturdivant. Does a nice job of working out and around the 109 of Gary Sturdivant. The 103 of Eric Lund, the 96 of John Maycomber collide coming out of the 4-turn, and that puts us under caution once again. Assistant starter Junior Niles gives the drivers the all clear. Paul Driscoll and Scott Chapman bring the field down. Look for a start at turn 4. Green is out. The 45 of Driscoll back into the lead. Scott Chapman in the 85. Scott Chapman with a challenge to the inside as they race the backstretch to the 3-turn. Chapman right at the back bumper of Paul Driscoll. Then comes Rusty Shaw in the number 90 up in the 3rd spot. Gary Sturdivant is in 4th. And Trent Smith in the number 66 is 5th. Wayne Poland making his return to racing here at the Speedway. Out of Windomain, the number 4 now challenges the 109 on the inside. Paul Driscoll has worked himself out into a comfortable lead. 2 laps to go. Strong run by Driscoll in the 45. Scott Chapman in the 85 now has some pressure from Rusty Shaw in the number 90. Trent Smith in 4th is going to have some pressure from Wayne Poland in the number 4 as the white flag goes into the air. Wayne Poland trying to take over the 4th spot on the inside, and he does as they race to the 1-turn. Gary Adams right on his bumper trying to work his way into the top 5 as we have a car into the infield. The 59 of Frank Scott, but he's okay and trying to take it right back onto the Speedway. Checkered flag in the air for Driscoll as he collects the semi-feature this afternoon, followed by Chapman. We have a tangle in the 4-turn, Pearson and Libby. So it's Paul Driscoll collecting the semi-feature. And he's a happy young man this afternoon. He picked up some valuable points in his effort to work his way out of the semi-feature and an opportunity hopefully to run in the qualifying heats and a chance to run in the main event. He'll be collecting some goodies from our sponsor today, the G.W. Jewett & Sons Company. Some of that outstanding Texaco oil. Fine run. Let's have a nice hand for Paul Driscoll in the number 45 as he collects the semi-feature. On deck at the entrance to the track at turn 3. Consolation event for the limited sportsman cars, those drivers who did not qualify in the 2 qualifying heats run earlier. Flagman Eddie Waltz gives the drivers the all clear as they glance across from the backstretch in their pace lap. Pace car from Pape Chevrolet makes its way onto the infield pit road. Willie Boucher and Dave Fecto on the front line as they pick it up. Green flag is out. Dave Fecto with the advantage from the outside in the number 78. Boucher fights back on the inside. Boucher draws it even as they race back to the 3-turn. Larry Gelinas looking for racing room at their rear bumper. Gelinas takes over the 2nd spot now as the 78 goes a little high. Larry Gelinas into the runner-up spot in the number 37. Some of the top cars back in the field. Only 8 cars to qualify in this consolation event. And it looks like the 161 may be the last qualified car right now. Willie Boucher doing a nice job as he puts a little distance on the battle for 2nd between Dave Fecto and Larry Gelinas. Then comes Darrell Ward, Dennis Quinn, Danny Bubar, Alan Burraby, the 161 of Gordon Nelson, who is the last qualifier. Only the top 8 will make it to the main event. Some good cars sitting outside of the top 8. Among them, the 89 of Butch Buzzell. Buzzell has collected several feature events in the 1990 season. Other top point holders, the 54 of Rick Frenette, along with the 93 of Danny Palmer, all sitting well outside of a starting position. Larry Gelinas with a nice move takes over the point. As they work lap number 8, the new leader is Larry Gelinas in the number 37. Then comes Willie Boucher. Looks like the number 44 is the last qualifier. Still sitting outside of a qualifying position is the Z28 of Kevin Durgan as he is at the back bumper of the last qualifier, Terry Brown. Well outside of a qualifying position is the 89 of Butch Buzzell and the 93 of Danny Palmer, along with the 54 of Frenette, the 75 Terry Brown doing a nice job of hanging on to a qualifying position, along with the 161 of Nelson. The Z28 still sits 1 spot outside of qualifying, and you can bet he'll do his best to move up 1 spot, at least 1 spot. But right now, the Z28 of Kevin Durgan is momentarily boxed in as he is at the back bumper of the 161 of Gordon Nelson and the 44 of Terry Brown as they race side by side. Other top runners back in the field and only 2 laps to go next time around. As they work lap number 13 of this 15-lap qualifier, they'll see 2 laps to go. Larry Gelinas with a comfortable lead. Willie Boucher, Danny Bubar, Dave Fecto have put some distance on the rest of the field. Finally, up into a qualifying position is Kevin Durgan in the Z28, as he has his hands on the last qualifying position. White flag is in the air, 1 lap to go. A lot of smoke from the 88 of Mike Field. Looks like the 06 of Dennis Quinn, the last qualifier. Checkered flag in the air for Larry Gelinas in the 37. Willie Boucher in the 73. Danny Bubar, Dave Fecto, Terry Brown for the top 5. 06, Dennis Quinn, unofficially the last qualified car for the main event. So some top cars, unfortunately, it looks like we'll have to sit out this afternoon's main event.
We have 6 gentlemen here that were voted your favorite drivers for 1990, runner-up, and the most popular driver in each division. We'll start with our limited sportsman division, and I would like to introduce to you your top 2 favorite drivers that you voted on. Would you please welcome forward the runner-up in the limited sportsman division from Standish, Maine, Pee Wee Knight. Pee Wee, congratulations. And ladies and gentlemen, your favorite driver in the limited sportsman division from Central Harbor, New Hampshire, Brad Layton. Brad, congratulations. In our late model sportsman division, you voted for your 2 favorite drivers, and the runner-up out of Biddeford, Maine, and car number 56, welcome forward Andy Lude. Congratulations, Andy. The favorite driver by your voting in the late model sportsman division is a former 4-time champion from Sanford, Maine. Welcome forward Bob Randall. Bob, congratulations. In your open-wheeled modified division, you voted for your 2 favorite drivers and the runner-up in that division for, I believe, a 3rd consecutive year. From Saco, Maine, former 3-time champion, welcome forward David Pinkham. Congratulations, David. He is also a former champion, and he's won this award many times. You folks call him Wild Willie. Welcome forward Willie Elliott. Willie, congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, here are your 6 favorite drivers. Give them a nice round of applause. These 6 drivers, most of you probably met during our autograph session, but we are going to dispatch them in just a moment to come up between the fences. And for any of you who came a little bit late to the races today and missed the autograph session, a chance for you to grab their autograph or congratulate them one final time today. And in just a moment, we will begin a junior fan club presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, your 6 favorite drivers. Gentlemen, please go up and meet the fans. While these drivers are meeting you and signing autographs, we have a presentation to make from the folks that do our Junior Fan Club Awards each week here at the Speedway. Linda Snowman has the presentation. Linda?
Thank you, Andy. Every week, as you know, we try to take 2 children from the audience and take them over to meet these drivers and get their autographs. I'll tell you, I could probably write a book on some of the things some of these kids have said to these drivers. You cannot imagine. But it's been fun. Next year, I think I'm going to take a tape recorder to record what they say. But anyway, today we'd like to do as the final presentation this year, a $500 savings bond is being brought to us today by Mayetta Construction Foundation, excuse me, Louis, and 2 seasons passes for 2 children for the whole season for the 1991 season, courtesy of Beech Ridge Motor Speedway. Jacob Presley, if you're here today, would you please come down? You won the $500 savings bond. Here he comes. Okay, Jacob. There you go. Louis Mayetta. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jacob Presley, $500 richer today.
Winners and the folks that help us with the Junior Fan Club, a nice round of applause.
Thank you, Andy. You can enjoy a few more minutes of intermission before our first feature of the day will be rolling out onto the track.
United at his range, most music, power station on the powerhouse weekend. We've got the freshest new music for you. You can get your hands on a brand new album from Depeche Mode if you happen to be caller 12 right now. 792-4898, dial those digits, and it's yours from the station. All the freshest stuff. Yeah. G98.
Gentlemen, good luck to you all. Now on the count of three, those four most famous words in auto racing. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as the drivers approach the front stretch, let's give them a nice wave off. Wave your hat, your hand, your handkerchief. Let these late model drivers know that you're sending them off with your best wishes. From Pig Chevrolet makes his way onto the infield pit road. Jay Johnson, Gary Pulsifer bring him down. Green is out. Side by side at turn 2. Johnson to the inside, Gary Pulsifer to the outside. Jay Johnson with a slight advantage as they race turn 4. Down the front stretch, bringing him down for lap 1 is Jay Johnson as he hangs onto the point. Al Burset on the move up the inside as he takes over second spot down the backstretch. Here comes Bobby Libby to challenge that third spot held by Pulsifer in the 27. Andy Lude gets the car sideways into the turn 1 area, does a nice job of collecting it back up. Trying to make that outside groove early is Andy Lude in the 56. Kenny Lund also working the outside groove, as is the 37 of Harrison and the 35 of Paul Johnson. Johnson working himself into a comfortable lead as he has about a 6 or 7 car length lead now on the 17 of Al Burset. Then comes Bobby Libby in the 34, Gary Pulsifer in the 27, and Joe Bowser in the 34. 35 laps on top for the late models this afternoon. Jay Johnson looking to pick up where he left off in the qualifying heat. Yellow flag is out as the 51 of Rex Garrett is backwards partway down the backstretch, and he is hit by the 37 of Harrison. And a hard hit. We'll give you a report on the drivers just as soon as we have one. All the drivers are okay. They've spoken with all of them, and they say they are okay. Obviously, some heavy damage to the Rex Garrett, number 51, the 37 of Bobby Harrison as he climbs out of the car, along with the number 1 of Kenny Lund. Flagman Eddie Walsh gives the all clear and points to turn 4. Once again, Jay Johnson, Al Burset, green is out. Jay Johnson with a slight lead out of turn 2 down the backstretch. The 17 of Burset trying to challenge on the outside. Here comes Bobby Libby up the inside in the 34. Side-by-side battle for second now. Bobby Libby with a slight advantage in turn 1 as they race to turn 2. Down the backstretch, Libby has position number 2 in his hands. Now a side-by-side battle for third, but the 17 of Burset is getting out of shape. He loses some ground. Third place now to Joe Bowser in the 32. Gary Pulsifer is 4th. Evidently some handling problems affecting the number 17 as he is getting a little bit out of shape. Perhaps just got out of the groove. .34 of Bobby Libby now challenging at the back bumper of the 19 of Jay Johnson. Cars to keep your eyes on. The cars tied for the point lead. The 85 of Ricky Harrison, the 13 of Mike Mayetta. Bobby Libby now dives to the inside of the 19 of Jay Johnson's. Cars come together into the 3-turn. Libby takes it up over the bank. Possibly cut a tire. The cars came together approaching the 3-turn. Bobby Libby's off over the 3 and 4 turn area. Still underway. We stay under green. Jay Johnson still at the point. Bobby Libby evidently putting something out of whack on the number 34 as he came together with the 19 of Jay Johnson. Limping around the bottom of the 4-turn, trying to work his way back onto the asphalt surface, and he does. Front end out, evidently, as the right front is towed right out on the 34. A tough break for Bobby Libby as he was challenging for that point position. Right now, it's Joe Bowser with a challenge to the 19 of Jay Johnson. Joe Bowser trying to work beneath the 19 of Johnson. They come together in the 2-turn. Glenn Cusack right up over the left front of Gary Pulsifer. All the cars stack up and then they break free. 3 more cars come together in the 1 and 2 turn area. The 98 of Vladimir, the 88 driven this afternoon by Pete Rondo, and we do go under caution. The lineup reverts back to the last lap run under the green flag. So that will jockey the lineup that you see out there just a little bit. Right now, Flagman Eddie Walsh is giving the all clear to the late model drivers. 15 laps down. Jay Johnson and Joe Bowser back on the front line. Green is out as they race to the one turn. Jay Johnson once again takes the advantage out of the two turn and down the backstretch. Gary Pulsiver looks for racing room to the inside. Couldn't quite find it. Tries once again beneath the 32 of Joe Bowser. The 27 and the 32 get collected up. And that takes the 33 of Mike Johnson right out to the outside, and cars scattered in the two-turn will put us under caution once again. Officials evidently felt that something was leaking from the 19 of Jay Johnson. That's the reason for pulling that car over and checking it out. Once again, Daytona Triple Crown leader in the late model division is Bobby Babb, driving the number 4. Presently sitting in 9th position. Second place in the Daytona Triple Crown, Bob Randall, driving the number 91. And he is currently in about the 12th position. Ricky Harrison, who's at the back of the pack, sits 3rd, so all of the Daytona Triple Crown leaders are back in the pack. We're looking for a start at turn 4. Green is out. Side by side to the one turn, Jay Johnson with the advantage once again in the number 19. Gary Pulsiver looking for room on the inside as he races below the 32 of Joe Bowser. Bowser manages to hang on to that second spot. Side-by-side battle shaping up for 4th. Andy Lute has to back out of it just a little bit. They'll be approaching the halfway mark this time by. Mike Mayetta on the move as he works to the outside of Barry Babb. Have a spin by the 88 and the 98. They both get underway. Carl Lattamy in the 98, Pete Rondo in the 88. Leader continues to be Jay Johnson. Then comes Joe Bowser, Gary Pulsiver, Phil Pinkham, and Andy Lude in the top 5. Mike Mayetta on the move in the number 13 as he works to the outside now of Glenn Cusack. Mayetta trying to find his way up into the top 5, and he's knocking on the door now as he works to the outside of the number 2 of Cusack. Looks to the back of the 56 of Andy Lou. Joe Bowser gets under the 19 of Jay Johnson down the backstretch. Challenge for the lead now. Bowser to the inside, Johnson to the outside. Joe Bowser manages to hold off the 19 from the outside groove. Now it's a battle for second. Gary Pulsiver to the inside, Jay Johnson to the outside. They come together into the 3-turn. Off over the bank goes the 27 of Pulsiver and the 19 of Jay Johnson. Pulsiver still trying to refire the car, can't do it until the yellow flag comes out. Yellow flag comes out for the number 27 of Gary Pulsiver, sitting off over the 3 and 4 turn. Green is out. Joe Bowser with the advantage at the start-finish line as they race to the 2-turn. Phil Pinkham trying to gather it up on the outside, but here comes Andy Lude up the inside to challenge for second. Side-by-side battle for second. Andy Lude to the inside, Phil Pinkham to the outside. A two-way battle right straight back through the pack. Cusack and Mayetta battling side-by-side. Paul Johnson and Barry Babb. Then comes Ricky Harrison and Bobby Randall trying to get into the fray. Bowser trying to claim his third late model sportsman feature of the 1990 season. Phil Pinkham fighting back on the outside. Mike Mayetta on the move on the outside also. Barry Babb in the outside groove, as is Bob Randall and Mike Johnson. Black flag going out, I believe, to the number 19. Cars spin in the one turn. Mike Johnson once again. The 99 of Billy Childs. The 17. The 64. The 34. The 4. The 91. And we are under yellow once again. Crews continue to work on the 4 of Bobby Babb, the 17 of Al Burset. Attempt to get those drivers back into competition if they possibly can. Joe Bowser brings it back to the point. 3 qualifying heat wins so far in 1990. Flagman Eddie Walsh points to turn 4 once again. Bowser and Lude bring the field down. Green is out. Bowser with a slight advantage from the inside. Andy Lude fights back on the outside. The 99 of Billy Childs turns around in the 2-turn once again. Bowser to the inside, Lude to the outside. Lude gets sideways across the line, does a nice job of collecting the car back up again. Phil Pinkham sitting there in third, wondering just what these guys are going to do. Mike Mayetta on the move now as he works to the back bumper of the 07 of Phil Pinkham. Barry Babb up in a 5th. Yellow flag out again as the number 99 is unable to refire. 99 of Carl Lattamy into the infield sandbanking. Not sure just what happened to the 85. Evidently some sort of mechanical failure put the 85 of Ricky Harrison on the pit road. And right now the advantage appears to lean toward Mayetta in their tight points race, as Mayetta has worked his way up to 4th position. Looking to restart, pointing to the 4th turn once again is Flagman Eddie Walsh. Green is out. This time Andy Lude with the advantage as they race the front stretch to the 1 turn. Bowser is back on the inside, but Andy Lude has the advantage as they race the back stretch to the 3 turn. Andy Lude, the winningest driver here in the 1990 season, once again back at the point. Andy Lude has already claimed 5 feature wins in the 1990 season, and he has his sights set on another one this afternoon. Phil Pinkham on the move as he dives to the inside of the 13 of Mike Mayetta. Side-by-side battle for 3rd. Phil Pinkham in the 07, Mike Mayetta in the 13. Andy Lude now will have a strong challenge once again from Joe Bowser. Andy Lude with a mirror full of Joe Bowser as they race the backstretch. Mike Mayetta fighting back on the outside of the 07, trying to grasp that 3rd spot. Loses just a little bit. Barry Babb's coming to challenge at the back bumper of the 07. It will be 2 laps to go next time by. Bumper to bumper, Lude and Bowser. See the 2 flags? Lude gets the advantage out of the 2-turn down the backstretch. Phil Pinkham hanging on a 3rd. Mayetta continues to try to the outside. Barry Babb fills the inside lane. White flag is in the air. Bobby Babb back out of the pit road, as is Ricky Harrison, to finish out the last lap of this race. Checkered flag will be in the air. The race in the hands of Andy Lude, Joe Bowser, Phil Pinkham, Barry Babb, and Mike Mayetta. As Andy Lude collects feature win number 6 on the 1990 season. Sponsored by Atlantic Precision Products and Doobie Drywall. As he coasts down to collect up the colors, let's have a nice round of applause for Andy Lou, the sportsman feature winner for the third leg of the Daytona Triple Crown. As soon as we have the Daytona Triple Crown standings, we will pass them on to you, but that's going to take some tally. We'll be going trackside in just a few moments for a chance to hear from this afternoon's feature winner, Andy Lou.
Your sixth win, Andy, and not an easy one. Congratulations. What were things like for you out there today?
Hot.
The sweat's just pouring off you. You really had your hands full with a bunch of different drivers out there. What was it like from the driver's seat?
It was rough. It really was. They had a bad accident in the beginning, and we missed that one, but we kept on going and plugging, and the car's going super. It really is. And with a car like that, you know, it's not easy, but it makes it nice, you know.
I'm sure it's fun at the very least. Bob Jewett from GW Jewett & Sons, our sponsor today, has the presentation for you for your sixth win. Bob?
Andy, on behalf of GW Jewett & Son and the Jewett family, I congratulate you on your win and present you this trophy.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Also, Andy, from the Big A Auto Parts Company, a $50 gift contingency to help you out through the remainder of the season.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Andy, we wish you the best of luck. Ladies and gentlemen, a nice round of applause for Andy Lou.
Green is out. Dave Lamprin from the outside of the front row jumps into a quick lead over the 90 of DeMias. The battle now shaping up for third. Spike Manitoul to the inside, Gary Drew to the outside. Gary Drew trying to work that outside groove, slips just a little bit. Now he has the F80 working beneath him. Drew fights back on the outside, goes a little wide, and that opens up that inside groove once again. Advantages in the inside groove as the F80, the 50, and the 61 all make their way beneath the number 9 of Gary Drew. Comfortable lead by Dave Lamprin in the 21. Dave Lamprin with a strong run in the number 21. Then comes DeMias in the number 90, Spike Manitoul in the 89. Scott Watt sits in the 4th position, Bobby Gahan 5th. Lamprin turning some very fast time around 14.85. Very quick time here this afternoon by young Dave Lamprin out of Sebago Lake, Maine. Tommy Oliver trying to work the outside of last week's feature winner Jimmy Emerson as they race side by side down the backstretch to the 3-turn. Lamprin continues to turn in the 14.8s, 14.88 on the last lap. Holds a comfortable lead over Kevin DeMias. Tommy Oliver continues to try to work that outside groove, having difficulty finding a way around the 24 of Emerson. Lamprin with things well in hand as he has an impressive run here this afternoon. They'll be approaching the halfway mark next time by. Lamprin continues to consistently run in the 14s. Slowed just a little bit, about an even 15-second lap. Spin by Tommy Oliver as he and the 24 of Jimmy Emerson come together. Tommy Oliver sits just off the inside of the apron, trying to refire the number 29, but they come under caution. Flagman Eddie Walsh once again ready to start at turn 4. Green is out. Dave Lamprin right off the point jumps right back into a quick lead. Spike Matitol takes over the second spot. Bobby Gahan coming right up the inside, taking over third as the 90 of Tobias slips a couple of positions. Scott Watts in the outside groove, as is David Pinkham and Mike Mayetta. They'll give that outside groove a shot, see if they can work their way out and around some of these cars that are lined up on the inside. Watts moves to the inside. That opens up the outside for David Pinkham as he sets the 61 into the middle groove of the track. Works to challenge the F80 of Scott Watts. Car on the move is the 61 of David Pinkham as he races side by side to the outside of the F80 of Scott Watts. Dave Lamprin continues to turn time just off the track record as he is turning in the 14.82, 14.83 range. Very quick time for the number 21 this afternoon. And he once again begins to put some distance on the rest of the field. Spike Matitol, Bobby Gahan, Kevin Tobias, and Willie Elliott round out the top 5. Then comes the side-by-side battle still being waged. David Pinkham continues to work to the outside of the F80 of Scott Watts, trying to see if he can possibly get that car working, hooked up in the outside groove. Takes it right out over the stripe this time, has to back out of it just a little bit. It'll be 2 to go this time by. Dave Lamprin with an impressive run here this afternoon continues to stretch out his lead over the rest of the field. White flag in the air. Checkered flag is out for Dave Lamprin as he collects the feature event this afternoon. Impressive run by the youngster from Sebago Lake, Maine. And then we'll be going trackside for a chance to hear from the modified feature winner this afternoon, Dave Lamprin, with a very impressive strong run in the number 21. Had kind of an up and down season, and certainly this was the upside of it for him this afternoon. Officials are working on the Daytona Triple Crown standings, and we will give you those as soon as they are official. Point standing very close in the modified division. Mike Mayetta came in with a 10-point lead today.
Dave, congratulations. All smiles and a familiar spot for you in Victory Lane. It must feel good today.
It certainly does, Andy. I'm just glad to be here. That's all I can say.
A number of weeks ago, you had a disappointing outing and a lot of damage to the car. You put it all back together. It's got to feel good. The crew must be happy over there. Tell us a bit about them.
Well, my crew consists of basically my sister and brother-in-law and my nephew Jason. It's a family-run operation. It's just a few people, and we get the job done the best we can. We don't have the money the others have, but we do what we can do. And I didn't think a feature was going to come this year, but I guess I got the brakes just right.
Well, that certainly is the very best the job can be done. As first place today, we congratulate you. Bob Jewett from GW Jewett & Son has the presentation. Bob?
An excellent win, young man, and behalf of the Jewett family and GW Jewett & Son, I present you with this trophy and congratulate you.
Thank you very much.
Also, Dave, a $50 gift contingency for you from the Big A Auto Parts Company to help out a bit more throughout the rest of the year.
Great, thank you, Andy. I certainly can use it.
You're very welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, a nice round of applause for Dave Lampren.
Right now, Flagman Eddie Walsh ready to start the main event for the Limited Sportsman. Mike Roberts and Don Tapley Jr. bring the field down. Green is out. Mike Roberts jumps away into a quick lead. It's a battle for second. Phil Weber to the inside, Don Tapley from the outside as Weber has some problems in the 79, takes the car right to the infield. Dennis Quinn picks up in third. Then comes Scott Johnson in the 61 and Robbie Dorr in the 100. Mike Roberts pulls right out to a comfortable lead. High Point men at the back of the pack with a long ways to go. Keep noticing the progress of cars like number 2, current point leader Brad Layton, the 111 of Pee Wee Knight, the 78 of Dave Fecto, along with the Z28 of Kevin Durgan. Some of these high point cars week in and week out work their way all the way from the back of this 32 car field to the front. Mike Roberts, literally out for a Sunday drive as he continues to put distance on the rest of the Limited Sportsman field. Dennis Quinn with a challenge to the outside of the number 15 now. Side-by-side battle for second now. Scott Johnson to the inside, Dennis Quinn to the outside. Robbie Dorr looking for racing room in the number 100. Robbie Dorr works under the 06 of Quinn to take over fourth rather, as the cars come under caution. A car up against the tire barrier off the 4 turn. Flagman Eddie Walsh asked the drivers to cross it over and tighten the lineup, and we should be ready to go back to green. 6 laps down in this 30-lap limited sportsman main event to determine, among other things, the winner of the Daytona Triple Crown in the limited sportsman division. Unofficially, once again, in the late model division, the winner unofficially is Bobby Babb. And in the modified division, unofficial winner is Pete Rondo. Flagman Eddie Walsh signals the all clear as the drivers glance across from the backstretch. Official pace car from Pape Chevrolet, the Beretta, is on the infield pit road. Mike Robertson, Don Tapley to bring the field down, looking for a start at turn 4. Green is out. Mike Roberts once again jumps into a lead. Scott Johnson pursuing in second. Don Tapley is third. A tangle in the 3-turn. Dennis Quinn and Robbie Dorr spin. And that scatters the field. Gary Clark backs into that. And the cars are back under caution once again. Right now, Flagman Eddie Walsh ready to restart this afternoon's limited sportsman feature event. Don Tapley, Scott Johnson. Green is out. Scott Johnson with a nice move from the outside works his way out and around the 15 of Don Tapley. Also on the move is the 03 of Steve Howard, working to the outside and around the 65 of Rocky Yargo. Point leader Brad Layton still near the back of the pack. Mike Roberts back out of the pit area as he suffers some bad luck after a strong run at the front of the pack. 37 of Larry Gelinas on the move, working to the outside, as is the 16 of Don Colbert Jr. The 03 of Steve Howard now trying to mount a challenge to the outside of the 15 of Don Tapley Jr. Willie Boucher also on the move on the outside as he works to the outside of the 01 of Alan Chapman. Also in that outside groove, Larry Gelinas on the move in the number 37. Keep your eyes on some of these cars working their way up through the pack. Brad Layton working 3 wide out of the 2-turn down the backstretch as he works his way out and around the 100. 100 dives right back to challenge. Layton has the car sideways in the 4-turn. Continues his 3 wide assault, trying to work his way to the front. 3 wide down the backstretch once again. Meanwhile, at the front of the pack, it's a comfortable lead for Scott Johnson in the number 61. A side-by-side battle for second. Don Tapley in the 15, Larry Gelinas in the 37. Larry Gelinas definitely on the move as he takes over second spot, working around the 15 of Tapley. Willie Boucher also on the move in the 73, having lost the left side door. They're approaching the halfway mark, this time by 15 down, 15 to go. back under yellow flag as the 68 of Chuck Haynes sits off over the 4-turn, bringing the cars back to a caution. Right now, with 15 laps down, Scott Johnson and Larry Gelinas bringing them down to a start at turn 4. Eddie Welch lays out the green, but it didn't look like he liked the looks of that start. Scott Johnson trying to hold off hard-charging Larry Gelinas. Gelinas dives to the inside. There isn't quite room enough. Gelinas now looks to the outside of the number 61 of Scott Johnson. Johnson trying to hold the car inside. Gelinas gets right out of shape, takes the car way wide, does a nice job of bringing it back. Now he's in a battle to the outside of Steve Howard in the 03. Gelinas obviously with a strong running number 37 as he has worked his way back once again to challenge the 61 of Scott Johnson. Abreast racing going on back in the pack. Pee Wee Knight gets sideways in the one turn as he attempts to make a pass. The number 10 also crossed up, as is the 27 and the 100, all involved. And that puts the cars back under caution once again. Right now, with 19 laps down, pace car makes its way onto the infield pit road, and once again it's Scott Johnson and Larry Gelinas to square off once again as they bring the field down, looking for a start at turn 4. Flagman Eddie Welch has the green flag in the air. Scott Johnson jumps away once again. Stevie Howard trying to close it up from the inside. Larry Gelinas working to the outside. Then comes Beaver Norton. Now Gelinas comes to the outside of the number 61. Scott Johnson continues working lap 20, hanging on to the lead. Larry Gelinas working to the outside. Steve Howard at the rear bumper. They race even to the 3-turn, looking to the 4-turn. A slight advantage to the 37, and here comes Gelinas across the line as he takes over the lead, completing lap number 21. Larry Gelinas, the new leader in the number 37. Then comes Scott Johnson, Stevie Howard, a side-by-side battle for 4th. Beaver Norton to the inside, Don Colbert Jr. to the outside. Willie Boucher in 5th place, 6th place rather. Chris Rule has worked his way up to 7th. Brad Layton all the way up to challenge for 8th from the back of the pack. Flagman Eddie Welch will signal 5 laps to go. We have 25 down and 5 to go. Larry Gelinas simply running away from the rest of the pack. Scott Johnson in 2nd. Stevie Howard is 3rd. Beaver Norton 4th. And Don Colbert Jr. holds the 5th spot and works to the outside of the 38 of Norton. Flagman Eddie Walsh indicates it's just 2 to go as they cross the stripe this time around. Larry Gelinas with a tremendous lead in the number 37. Sees just 2 laps to go. Then comes Scott Johnson. Side-by-side battle for third. Stevie Howard to the inside, Don Copeland Jr. to the outside. Then a side-by-side battle for the next 2 positions. White flag in the air for Gelinas. Still Scott Johnson hanging on to that second spot. Don Copeland Jr. trying to close it up. We have a spin starting down the backstretch. The cars appear to be off the track. Checkered flag in the air for Larry Gelinas with a convincing win as he spins it across the finish line. Checkered flag in the air, Scott Johnson, Don Copeland Jr., Stevie Howard. And it looked like that last spot to the 38 of Beaver Norton. We'll have outstanding run by Larry Gelinas from Scarborough, Maine. Has collected several heat wins and a couple of semi-feature wins. A nice round of applause as Larry Gelinas collects up the colors. He'll make his parade lap and then be back. We'll have a chance to hear from this afternoon's Limited Sportsman feature event winner. We have one more race left to go, and that's the championship race for the top 12 from the 3 Wildcat teams. We have the top 12 from the A, B, and C teams to go at it in a championship feature event. If you are leaving, we'll urge you to drive carefully. If you'd like to stay around, obviously, and want to come out on the track again, you have that opportunity.
You got out front. Did you ever let off the throttle at all? Once you got out in front of the 61, it was like you got a straightaways length lead and never slowed down.
No, I was just afraid someone was going to catch me, so I kept it down.
You sure did. You finished way ahead of the field. Bob Jewett from GW Jewett & Sons has the presentation for you. Bob?
Super job there, Larry. And on behalf of the Jewett family and GW Jewett & Son, I present you this trophy and congratulate you.
Thank you.
Also, Larry, a $50 gift contingency from Big A Auto Parts is the award to go along with your Limited Sportsman win today. How's the rest of the season look for you now?
Well, hopefully I can keep this up and finish in the top 10.
It's a good goal for you to go for. We wish you the best of luck on the way there. Ladies and gentlemen, a nice round of applause for Larry Gelinas. Bruce?
Thank you, Andy. This is the Wildcat Championship race. 25 laps or 30 minutes. Top drivers from all 3 teams ready to do battle. Ready for a start at turn 4. Green flag is out. 3 abreast racing right out of turn 4. The 34 Bo Longley right into the lead, followed by we have a spin by the number 7. And the drivers do a nice job of avoiding that number 7, and he's going to get it underway and try to keep things moving. Challenge for the lead now, the number 9 of Dick Dione. Works out and around the 37 of Longley. Then comes the 61 of Mark Henderson. Top 3 cars put some distance on the rest of the pack. 63 of Randall Meserve trying to close it up. Here comes the 33, as he also is trying to close up ground lost behind the spinning car. Evercar backwards, backing right back to the exit of the infield pit road. Driver does a nice job of getting himself clear of the oncoming traffic. Tire and wheel off the .23, I think that is. He's making his way to the pit road. Number 9, Dick Dione, holding the lead over the 37 of Bo Langley. Number 12 is, I believe, a Latin car. The car that spun at the exit of the infield pit road. '61 is driven by Mark Henderson in 3rd. 33 is Ronald Butler. 63 is Randall Meserve. Number 9 of Dick Dione. Way out in front. Then comes the 37. Spin in the two-turn. Have a car that has spun in the four-turn. And he does a nice job of getting out of the way. And we stay under green. Number 9 of Bo Longley continues to show the way. Spin in the four-turn. Once again, the drivers do a nice job of avoiding, this time, the number 54. 54 is driven by James Keyes. Leader continues to be the number 9 of Dick Dione. And in second place, Bo Longley in the number 37. Number 61 now has a challenger, the 32, working his way up to challenge. Car slides up against the tire barrier in the one turn, and that will bring out the red flag, bringing these cars back to a caution once again. That was the 33 of Ronald Butler. Ready to start. The green flag is out once again for a start out of turn 4. The number 9 of Dick Dione back in the lead, but here comes the 32 to challenge on the outside. .32 of Dennis Hall, the new leader at the 3-turn, as he works his way out and around the number 9 of Dick Dione. Cars racing 3 and 4 abreast. The 45 gets out of shape into the wall, as is one other car. And we'll give you a report on those just as soon as we get them. Looks like the 45 is going to drive away from that. Comes out of that amazingly well. What appeared to be a very hard hit. That's Jeffrey Greenstreet in the 45. Officials say the driver, the number 39, is okay. So again, that's Jim Morse. Green flag is out once again. Dennis Hall jumps right back into the lead. Coming from the outside to take up the second spot is the number 29. 29 being driven by Jim Fitz, who is the winningest driver on the Wildcat scene. He is now in second place. Third place, former leader Dick Dione in the number 9. Then comes Bo Longley in the number 37. '32 of Dennis Hall and the 29 of Jim Fitz. Pulling away from the rest of the field. Fitz gets the car right out over the white stripe. Has to back out of it just a little bit. Loses some ground to the leader. Spin in the one turn. The 48 able to get right back underway. Continues to be the 32 driven by Dennis Hall, the 29 of Jim Fitz, the 9 of Dick Dione, and the 37 of Bo Langley. '25 of Dave McCubry now mounting a challenge to the 37 of Longley. Dave McCubry trying to take over the 5th spot. It'll be just 2 laps to go next time by. Race leader Dennis Hall will see the 2 flags from Eddie Walsh as he continues to hold a comfortable lead over Jim Fitz in the 29. Then comes the 9 of Dick Dione. The 25 of Dave McCubry now has worked his way up into 4th position. And the 37 of Bo Longley is in 5th position. White flag is in the air, 1 lap to go. Cars off over the 3 and 4 turn. Checkered flag in the air for Dennis Hall in the number 32. Jim Fitz in the 29. Dick Dione in the 9. Dave McCubry in the 25. And unofficially the 37 of Bo Longley. Final race of the 1990 season for the Wildcat competitors. We'll be going trackside for a chance to hear from race leader, winner Dennis Hall, as he parades the colors with a convincing win this afternoon over the gentleman who had won the most feature events in the Wildcats this year, Jim Fitz, who was runner-up in the number 29. We'll remind you once again, if you'd like to go out on the track, if you want to stay around for a bit, you're certainly welcome to do so. If you are headed home, we'll urge you to drive carefully.
Dennis, congratulations on your 2nd win of the year.
Thank you very much.
Dennis, tell us a little bit. And you've won the championship race. James Fitz and Brian Hanscom, I don't think we're far behind, so mathematically I think one of them will probably have the championship anyway. It's going to be a lot of fun for you anyhow out there.
Yeah. Yes, it is very much. Yeah.
What will you do in the future? Will you continue to race the Wildcat division as you look at 1991? Step out of racing or move up a division?
Well, I'm still thinking about it and see how much, it costs a lot